Archers in Rise of Kingdoms have finally received a leak on their next new legendary commander, and today I'm going to be looking at these two new legendary commanders coming to the game, going over their skills, going over what looks good in their kit, what looks interesting, and if I think they're going to be good, plus some possible best pairings. So if you're interested in the next new Archer commanders coming to the game and whether or not they're going to be game breaking, you want to stick around till the end of the video. Now, I think it's best we just dive straight into the new Archer commander. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but I will be doing an in-depth analysis on his skills today, so I definitely recommend sticking around for it. Qin Shi Huang, the first Emperor, he's the next Archer open field commander. He's got Archer versatility skill as his trees, and it really means he's not going to have any mighty heal in his kit. Starting off though with his skills, we'll go into his active skill. It consumes 1000 rage, and it's a bit weird with the way that his skill works. This commander's troop gains the Eternal Emperor effect for 10 seconds. Whenever their troop deals direct damage with a basic attack via the Iron Piercer's Bronze skill, they're also going to deal 60% of that damage to 5 other enemy nearby troops. Every additional target reduces it by 15%. Now, we don't know if this is a circle AoE, if it's a cone AoE, we don't really know. I assume it's a circle because it's nearby enemy troops, just anyone around him. And this kind of depends on how much normal attack damage he's doing. This is a really weird way of just giving archers smite damage in a way, because they're converting normal attack into skill damage, which is being used to damage your opponent. So it's really obscure. It kind of works with normal attack, but it also can be boosted by skill damage. It's a bit of a double-edged, I guess, skill. And his active skill alone looks really weird. So unless we go into his other skills, it's going to be very confusing. So I think best just to go into his next skill, Iron Piercer's Bronze. Whenever this commander's troop launches a basic attack, he's going to spend 100 rage. Obviously, this won't trigger without enough rage to convert the damage that he would have dealt into direct damage. The direct damage is equal to 100% of their troops' basic attack damage factor. This commander's archer units will also have 20% more march speed and 30% defense, and if you have only archer units, 20% health. Just quick thing, those stats are really, really, really good. 20% health is amazing, 30% defense is really good, and 20% march speed is up there with more than what we normally see with archer commanders. So the stats, really, really good on Iron Piercer's Bronze. The fact that he's switching basic damage and spending rage does give me a little bit of a concern around how is he going to really get to his active skill, because if you're spending 100 rage, you only get, I think it's like 120 to 150 on a normal turn, a bit more if you're getting swarmed, a bit less if you're not. So does this mean that it's going to take forever to get his active skill if you don't have a good rage engine? Possibly. I don't actually know the rest of his kit off the top of my head right now. But yeah, Iron Piercer's Bronze, it's an intriguing skill. The fact that he's switching the damage is obviously really nice, but the stats just alone are very good. Those are, in my opinion, meta level stats for an archer commander. Moving on to the next skill here. This is his third skill, Thunder Shakes Earth. If this commander's troop is in the field and has been outside your city for at least 10 seconds, he's going to gain the Eternal Empire effect for 8 seconds whenever he enters combat. So really, he's going to get his active skill for 8 seconds. That's what the One Conqueror's 6 skill does. Gives him the Eternal Empire. He's going to get that when he enters combat. That is really good. The fact that he's able to pretty much insta-trigger that damage because he's able to basically activate his active skill for free. And he also can trigger this once every 60 seconds. So you're not going to be spamming the crap out of it. Possibly when you go in and out of combat, you can still re-trigger it. Possibly not, though. I don't know how the timer on that's going to work. We'd have to test that in-game. But I'm assuming it's if you go out of combat, you can trigger it again, and you get that pretty much double active skill. The other thing to note is whenever their troop deals direct damage with the second skill, or his active skill effect, the Eternal Empire effect, he's going to spend 20 more rage. This won't trigger without sufficient rage to deal extra direct damage and drain the target's rage by 10 from them. This is going to give him a damage factor 200 waning. So I don't know what this stuff really means. If we go with the drain though, what this means is he's going to reduce their rage and give himself that amount. So he's going to get 10 rage from it. If you're hitting 5 targets, this could mean that you get extra rage from the thing. So you trigger the ability, it costs 20 rage, and you get 50 back because you drain 5 targets, 10 rage. That's certainly a big possibility with this. Intriguing on how that could work. Possibly if you have enough of this commander on the field, if you have enough I'm going to call them Quins on the field, you could, in a really weird situation, hold down a rally in some ways and not let it gain a lot of rage because you're draining it whenever you deal any direct damage. So that's a very interesting way to if you technically have like 10 of them swarming a rally, you can pretty much shut it down from doing an active skill. Now, is that going to be very feasible? Probably not, but it is quite an interesting thing. The other thing to note is the waning damage factor. So this is something we've never really seen before, and the way it works is after triggering 2 times in a single second, every subsequent trigger is going to deal 25% less damage than the last, down to a minimum of 25%. Now, this isn't probably a big deal because the fact that he's dealing 200 waning damage factor, it's not a big damage to start, so it's not going to change too much. Now, does this mean if you hit 5 targets, each one's going to take 25% less damage? Possibly. Again, we haven't seen this in game, so it's kind of hard to say. I assume that's the way it works, but maybe it's just saying that the first hit will deal 200, the next one will deal 25% of that, the one after will deal 25% less, but if you hit 5 targets in one go, possibly you just deal 200 damage to all 5, and that's 1,000 damage factor. I assume it's the waning effect. Each target's individually going to start taking 25% less damage, but again, we've never seen this in game, so there is no way to 100% confirm it. I am just making an assumption. Moving on to his 4th skill though, Valor Best to Spare. If this commander troop is attacking a field troop, so really if he's just on the open field, he's going to gain 500 rage upon entering combat, which is really good. Take 10% less normal damage, which is nice against smite. And whenever he takes direct damage, smite damage, or combo attack damage with over 300 damage factor, so not small triggers from Arecher's skill trees or active skills, he's going to spend 40 rage, again won't trigger unless he has enough rage, to reduce the damage by 40%. Ridiculous, like ridiculously strong. Can trigger a total of 6 times per second. Each enemy troop can only trigger the effect once. It's absurd. Reducing all damage, this would be all damage, by 40% is insane, and it only costs 40 rage. Now, again, we are looking at a commander here who's going to be consuming a lot of rage quite often, but that being said, this reduction can be really good. In a 1v1 situation, it's going to be ridiculous because you're basically making them deal 40% less skill damage, or really any main damage type, on their active skills, which is just ridiculous. Consider a Arecher going from like 2200 damage factor down to 40% or 60% of that, which would be like, I don't know, 18? No, not 1800, less. 1400 damage factor. Ridiculous amounts, to be honest. So this in a 1v1 could be crazy. In terms of the open field, it can still be really good. Just keep in mind, possibly being hit by a lot of AoE could make this skill a little bit more ineffective or make it more difficult to use for the majority of people. So in really big fights, this could be a downside to him. Maybe it drains too much rage and stops you from really being able to deal his big damage that he's going to gain by switching his rage into direct damage factor. Of course, though, keep in mind the 500 rage you gain whenever you enter combat kind of does counter that, because if you have that 500 rage, you're able to take some damage factor, deal some damage, and gain rage at the same time, which can be really good, and it's going to allow you to drain some rage from your opponents too. The last of his skills, his expertise, Seal Governs All. If this commander's troop is in the field and has been outside of your city for at least 10 seconds, he's going to gain the Eternal Emperor effect for 10 seconds whenever he enters combat. This can trigger once every 60 seconds. Really, this is just an enhancement of his Thunder Shakes Earth skill, so his 3rd skill here, it's just making that skill better. And whenever he deals direct damage with the 2nd skill, he's going to spend 25 rage instead of, I think it was 20 before, so it's actually gone up a little bit, but he's also going to gain or drain 15 rage from the opponents and deal 250 waning damage factor. Draining 15 rage from 5 targets is a total of, if I'm not mistaken, 75 rage, which is really good. So 75 rage, if you're able to do that every 10 seconds, so you get that for 10 seconds, and you do that every second, you hit 5 targets, that's 750 rage in 10 seconds. You're going to be spending some of that rage, of course. You basically get 50 per trigger if you hit 5 targets, and not to mention it's a small refund on whenever you deal some form of damage factor. Now, keep in mind, this could be weird with the way that, let's say he's dealing direct damage factor, he's going to spend 25 rage and only gain 15 back if he doesn't have his active skill activated. So I don't know how this is going to line up with other active skills, and is it going to make him viable? We don't really know. Kind of subject to how he performs in game. So right now, this looks very intriguing. This is certainly something we've never ever seen before. I've never seen a commander with this much rage drain and this much rage factor that he's giving himself. It is quite a powerful thing. that could be really good, or possibly it could be really bad. Next commander on the list, I will just do both of them today because I did miss their initial release. Shappo the first. He is a rallying commander. His skill, he has a relatively normal kit, nothing like the previous commanders where he's dealing a ton of rage reductions and stuff like that. He does have some more unique stuff in his kit for rally, but usually this is what you would expect. First of all, he's dealing additional damage to every troop for 4 seconds, damage factor 800. That's 3200 damage. That's really good. And if the target is less than 500 rage, he's going to make it so they can't receive shields. So if you are able to make Shappo deal his active skill just after your opponents, or deal it way faster, you're going to stop them from getting some form of shielding effect. So for example, if you hit a Heraclius garrison, or you hit a Tokugawa garrison, you could potentially prevent them from getting a mighty shield, which is really good against those garrisons. This is really a hard counter to the current infantry garrison meta. He's also going to gain 20% march speed, 20% health, and whenever he takes damage, a 25% chance to gain an extra 30% attack for 3 seconds. If he's leading a rally attack, his archer units will gain 20% more march speed, which is okay for just getting to the target, but not really that overpowered, just a small little bonus. His third skill here, whenever this commander's troop deals skill damage, he's got a 20% chance to inflict any of the following effects for 3 seconds. The target cannot receive temporary health buffs, and the target deals 20% less normal damage. This is really just a big attack on the current infantry garrison meta. 20% less normal damage is a big hit to a commander's smite damage, and removing of temporary health buffs is good for letting him deal more damage to them. So Shappo's third skill, pretty good. Not only in the garrison, but also seems good on the open field because he doesn't need to be in a rally to do this damage. Most of his stuff so far seems to be open field viable. His fourth skill here, this is his fourth skill. It is rally reliant. If this commander is leading a rally, whenever their rallied army gains a buff, it's going to have a 50% chance to gain 100% rage, and a 30% bonus to skill damage dealt for 3 seconds, cooldown of 4 seconds. Really, really good, really, to be honest. If you get any buffs, you're just going to get a ton of bonuses. 100 rage is nice, 30% skill damage for 3 seconds is really good, especially for a passive skill, which means it is going to stack. Finally, we have his expertise. If this commander is leading a rally attack, whenever their rallied army deals damage, he's got a 50% chance to deal additional damage every second for 1 second to 5 enemy troops near that target. Damage factor 200. Intriguing, it's near his targets, not near himself, so I'm assuming again circle AoE around whatever he's hitting. If he's not leading a rally attack, however, whenever he deals additional damage, he's got a 15% chance to deal additional damage every second for 2 seconds to 1 enemy troop near his target. So more single target-ish damage if he's not on a rally, more AoE if he is in a rally, and the reason the AoE is good here, it does give him a bit of anti-swarm, and it makes him a bit more annoying to swarm. You're going to be taking that extra damage factor, and it really does add up, especially when the march has a lot more troops than you. Its AoE hits are going to deal a ton more damage. So what do I think about these commanders? Are they good? Are they bad? Quite simply, the open field commander is something I've never ever seen before. Not even close to what I predicted, to be honest. I mean, I did say he had good AoE, and I think he does have good AoE for the most part. Is he going to be good? I have no idea. I've never seen anything like this in Rise of Kingdoms, a commander that spends so much rage without even using his active skill. His active skill is almost useless. You always say the active skill is the most important. His active skill, I feel you're not even going to be able to trigger it most of the time, because I think he's going to be spending most of his rage and staying under that active skill threshold. Whether that's good or not, I don't know, especially because if you have him with a secondary commander, it means you're not going to really get benefits from their active skill, but possibly he will trigger that active skill quite often, and I am wrong. We don't know. He's not in the game yet. His best pairing, I'm going to just assume, is going to be Zhulang. It kind of makes sense that he would be. Zhulang 5 target AoE. Only thing I could see them not really synergizing with is Zhulang has a lot of health, so you could say that possibly that's not going to be very good, but Zhulang's got really good AoE. He's got a very, very nice amount of skill damage bonuses. I don't see why he couldn't work. Only thing I could maybe see is the fact that you won't be able to trigger the active skill as often, which means Zhulang's overall damage might be lower, but he also even has a bit of rage gain in his kit as well as an added bonus. He could also be good with YSG, especially because YSG has a lot of rage gain in his kit. You get up to 100 extra rage. Keep in mind, rage cap does still exist, so I don't know if this commander is going to be bypassing the rage cap or is going to be hitting it very often, because he's going to be getting very close to that rage cap on most of his turns. I also don't know if he spends that rage is that going to be deducted from the rage cap, or is it going to stay with the rage cap? So for example, if he spends 40 rage, can he gain that 40 plus the rage cap? So I think the rage cap's like 200. Can he gain 240 rage in the one turn, or can he only gain 160 because he's spent 40 and the cap's gone over? I don't know, he's not in the game, we can't test that just yet. So again, that's something we'd have to see when he's fully in game. So right now, we don't fully know how this commander could do on the open field. I couldn't even give you a prediction because he is that vastly different from anything we've seen. I'm going to guess he's going to be good with YSG or Zulang just because they're the best archer commanders. Could be interesting with Ashurbanipal. Ashurbanipal is a bit more of a tanky commander, not as reliant on his active skill. Of course, his active skill is very good, and he does get a good buff of it from his expertise. But that being said, Ashurbanipal is quite the tanky commander. Henry also could be intriguing, again, more tanky. Shajar could be really intriguing, very, very tanky commander. Possibly could pair well with this new commander, Quinn. I don't fully know. In terms of the rally, I mean, Ashurbanipal with this rally is probably going to melt every single garrison in the game right now, besides possibly a cavalry garrison. But that being said, cav garrisons are not fully meta, so Eleanor probably isn't going to stand up to the current meta garrisons. So I think it's going to be very interesting how hard counted Tokugawa and also how hard counted Heraclius do become after the release of the new garrison commander. So whether or not Shappo is going to fully counter them, I don't know, but he looks like he's got a really catered kit towards countering garrisons. Another little bonus about Shappo, he looks like he's going to be decent on the field. He's got good stats, really good single target damage. Most of his stuff's not locked behind being a rally. There's some small stuff. His expertise isn't though. His fourth skill is the one that you need to be in a rally for, which is good. So you can do him at 5-5-5-1 and you can just ignore the fourth skill, which means he could be a cheap option for us to run on the open field. So I think Shappo, good commander overall for the field as well. Might not be absolute meta, but could be very good. Single target damage is definitely meta. 3200 is a lot of single target damage to be dealing, even though it is additional damage over 4 seconds. If you're in a 1v1, that's insane. If you're in a rally situation, that's even better because you obviously are going to be hitting the one target. So Shappo looks like a good commander, probably going to be meta with Ashurbanipal. Could be interesting with Henry, but I think Henry's stats are a little bit more outdated than Shappo's. So keep that in mind. Henry, probably not going to be very good with him. Maybe, could be decent though. And I think Ashurbanipal will be absolute meta with him. And it's going to be a very, very good pairing. In terms of when I think these commanders will release, to my knowledge, they're not currently in the Mightiest Governor just yet. So I'm going to say they're not going to release for another minimum of 2 weeks. Probably sometime around early July, mid-July is when we're going to see them. Now, I'm interested to see when they release. I hope it's before I'm overseas. Otherwise, I won't be able to make a video of me expertising them, or I might just make like a YouTube short. So keep that in mind. I might be unable to fully make a video on them, though it could be very interesting where this does go and where these two commanders end up. There's definitely a lot of unique stuff in Quinn's kit. I think he's either going to be ridiculously overpowered or somewhat underwhelming. My guess is going to be overpowered because archers haven't had an OP commander for a while, but we'll have to see when he releases in the game. Probably around mid-July would be my guess. Now, if you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more things about these archer commanders, possibly some early testing if the tester does have these new commanders in it, or maybe you just want to see me expertise them when they finally do release, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Very, very small thing to do, and it really, really helps me out, and you'll also know whenever I upload the newest videos. So if you're interested in seeing more of my videos, you want to see these new archer commanders in action from a person who's been an archer main since he really started the game, you definitely should subscribe. Other than that, I just want to say thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.